Tis kepisu parthene animnumentas charitas, inos photophoron nephelin, εφαπλήσει περαινίαν, και σκέπεις των λαών σου νοερός, εκ πάσης των εχθρών επιβουλής, σεγαρ σκέπη και προστάτην και βοηθών, και κτήμεθα βόντεσι, δόξα της μεγαλής σου αγνή, δόξα τη Θεία σκέπη σου, δόξα τη πρόσημα σου προμηθεία άχραντα. OXI. We celebrate and we commemorate October 28th, 1940. A tribute we offer with our hearts and prayers to the heroes of World War II. We said OXI, our people, our nation, resoundingly and with courage and strength resisted against the atrocities of the invaders who unprovokedly came and crossed our border to enter and force Greece to enter World War II. Now, when our people stood against the invading forces, first of Mussolini and the fascists, and later fighting against 4 countries, 2 of them superpowers, representing Nazism and fascism. They knew that this is a very unfair and very uneven conflict. Our people knew this. When Ioannis Metaxas said OXI, he knew that this is a battle that is impossible to win. The people knew that they have to fight against superpowers with very limited means. However, they didn't think, not for a second, not to resist. They did not have the slightest hesitation. Look at the historic footage from our soldiers and their families as they go towards the border to make history. They are celebrating. They are almost triumphant. They go to war and they seem excited and enthusiastic, like they're going to a wedding celebration. Their mothers, their wives, and their families who stayed and who many of them provided supply lines and resistance later, they seem as enthusiastic to see them go to defeat a very barbaric attack. And they do this because they have the heart of a winner. We are the only nation that celebrates the beginning of the war, not its end. Why? Because this is the time when heroes march on. At the beginning, this is the time when sacrifices are made. From the very beginning, this is the time when people have to make a decision, either to comply and say ne, yes, or to resist and say no, OXI. This is the time of history. And this time was a long fight. The first Allied victories in World War II came from Greece. When other nations saw defeat in days or weeks, Greece resisted for an entire 213 days, in some cases more. We deflected the fascist armies, and Mussolini was humbled. seeing an entire region of northern Epirus come into the control of the Greek army and be liberated. The entire today's part of southern Albania. Not only that, but it gave courage to the free world. It gave strength. It gave motivation and inspiration. We can do this. If Greeks have done this, we have to resist. We cannot comply. We cannot just allow evil to take over. We cannot allow darkness to overwhelm light. Now, it was this resistance that continued, because although after Greece having to fight these four countries and having now to defend against the ultimate superpower of the era, the Nazis, there were still Greek military positions that were never defeated. In the Greek-Bulgarian border, our positions were never really defeated in battle. The surrender came from Athens. But in battle, these soldiers were still there defending. The greatest Greek vessel of the time, which was the armored cruiser Averov, was never defeated. Not in World War II, not in World War I, not in the Balkan Wars, not in any war out of the four wars that is so active battle. After the invasion of the Nazis, Averov moved south, first to help in the conflict around the Middle East, Egypt, and then in the Indian Ocean, where it saw many operations, it assisted many Allied operations, always undefeated, never lost a naval battle. This is the heart of a victor, the one who is patient, who never gives up. Greek resistance spanned the entire length of the war, interrupted Nazi supplies. And not only this, but delayed the advancement of the Nazis in Russia, having them to endure a very harsh Russian winter, and we know how that ended for them, which ultimately concluded the war to victory for the Allies. Now, this battle of David versus Goliath, of a small nation versus so many other nations and two superpowers, was a battle that made history. A war, a fight that inspires all of us never to give up, never to give in. Now, President Franklin Roosevelt said, when the entire world had lost all hope, the Greek people dared to question the invincibility of the German monster, raising against it the proud spirit of freedom. Following the Greeks' handling of the seemingly invincible Axis forces, their first defeat in World War II. Hitler had previously soundly defeated France and routed the army of Great Britain, two of the world's great powers. Life magazine and publications around the world featured Greece on their covers. Women and old men en masse gathered farm implements and whatever weapons they could find to attack Hitler's elite paratroopers invading Crete. Over 4,000 German soldiers lost their lives in Crete, but so did also 1,000 Cretan women. The military personnel had gone to mainland Greece, so only elders and women were left in Crete. And the church played a profound and paramount role in infusing the spirit of resistance and fight for justice. When most religious leaders of that era remained muted and silent as addressing the atrocities of the Nazis against the Jewish people, it was one leader who, in writing and in person, stood up in defense of the Jewish people. It was Archbishop Damaskinos of Athens. When the Nazis demanded the list of the Jewish population in Greece, Greek citizens of Jewish descent and Hebrew faith who lived in Greece, back then the church was the upholder of these documents, knew who is baptized and who is not. Archbishop Damaskinos refused. And the Nazis said refusal means that you will be executed by firing squad. And Archbishop Damaskinos responded, a Greek cleric is not executed by bullets. He's hanged by the neck. Please respect my tradition. When my time comes, this is how you have to perform execution, by hanging. He was fearless. How can you defeat someone who is not afraid? It's impossible. And this is what made Greece stand up and put a fight that also changed the course of the war. The Prime Minister of Greece was the first who said a resounding OXI, no. But it was followed by others. His example was imitated by many people around the globe, and the spirit of resistance, inspired our people here in the United States to voluntarily enlist the young soldiers and to go fight for freedom, for liberty, for justice. It was this example that allowed Normandy to happen, because this was featured in the cover of magazines, periodicals, and newspapers. Let's read what the contemporaries said about Greece. First, Winston Churchill. He said, hence, we will not say that Greeks fight like heroes, but that heroes fight like Greeks. Adolf Hitler also said, the Greek soldier, above all, fought with the most courage. Now, the US President Franklin Roosevelt said, when the entire world had lost all hope, the Greek people dared to question the invincibility of the German monster, raising against it a proud spirit of freedom. The Field Marshal of the Nazi Army, Wilhelm Keitel, said, the unbelievable strong resistance of the Greeks delayed by 2 or more vital months the German attack against Russia. If we did not have this long delay, the outcome of the war would have been different. As well, Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin remarked, we thank the Greek people whose resistance decided World War II. You fought unarmed and won, small against big. You gave us time to defend ourselves. And Winston Churchill added, if there had not been the virtue and courage of the Greeks, we do not know which the outcome of World War II would have been. This is the tribute of enemies and friends alike to people who know how to stand up. And if they fall, they never fall on their knees. If they give their life, they know that they fought to the last breath. We need this example today. We need it. We need for people, for our youth, to be able to say no, OXI, to temptations, to persisting attacks against our values. And we need for our people to remember history and honor it and cherish the example of heroes. We only had less than 3 million people at the time of 1940. These 3 million people stood against the greatest war machine the world ever saw. This is indeed David against Goliath, but it's also good versus evil. And this is why God empowers us to administer great miracles and great triumphs when we fight for good. Panagia, the Virgin Mary, was seen by lieutenants and soldiers of the Italian army who felt contrition, and they saw her presently being there. Their presence was profound and powerful, gathering and motivating the army on the mountains of Pinlos. They saw and they wrote about it, and they said it is impossible to win this war. It was a war that started as an attack against Panagia, first and foremost, on August 15 of 1940, when Eli, the naval vessel of Greece, was at the island of Tinos for the celebration of the Dormition and the transposition of the Virgin Mary, for religious holiday, not for military operation. No war had yet been declared. And an unprovoked attack from a submarine, from an Italian fascist submarine, sunk the vessel, killing the officers who were there wearing their religious, not their military uniforms, to participate for the commemoration of the Easter of summer, one of the most sacred days of the year. It was an attack not just against a border or strategic positions, it was an attack against faith and nation. It was an attack against the very ingredients of Greek people. And this is why God is, was, and will be on our side. We never fought a war that we started. We never fought a war that we caused evil. We defended our land, and we still do. So be able to use this empowering example of the heroes of 1940. We need it. Our people need it. Our world needs it. Όχι.
Σε γνωρίζω από την κόψη του σπαθιού την τρομερή, σε γνωρίζω από την όψη που με διαμετράει τη γη, απ' τα κόκκαλα βγαλμένη των Ελλήνων τα ιερά, και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη, χαίρο, χαίρο ελευθεριά, και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη, χαίρο, χαίρο ελευθεριά, και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη, χαίρο, χαίρο